Hey guys, welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to analyze the game between Alinasab Mobina, she is from Iran, and Salimova Nurgyul, she is from Bulgaria. Now, this game is from the round 5th of Chess Olympiad. The black player Salimova Nurgyul is a very strong international master. The reason I chose this game because it is played in my favorite opening, Caro-Kann. Of course, the game is not without mistakes, but it is understandable as the players face different kinds of pressure during the tournament. So let's start. White plays e4, black plays c6, d4, d5, knight d2, d into e4, knight into e4, and knight f6. So knight f6 variation is a dynamic variation. Knight into f6, e into f6, and c3. So this is the main line. Bishop d6, bishop d3, and castle. So after queen c2, black gives check on e8. So white blocks it with knight e2. Now very important move in this theory is the move h5. So this is the best move in this position. White plays castle, and the idea of h5 after the short castle from white is to push the pawn to h4. So this restricts the white's knight from g3. Also, there is the main idea for black in this opening. So we'll see it. White plays h3 and black plays knight d7. So again, this is a very typical development of knight. The knight will be useful on f8 square, from where it will have better prospects. It can go to g6, e6. So white plays the move bishop d2 and black plays knight f8. White brings his rook into the game, rook a e1, and now black plays the move bishop c7. So this is the idea. Black would like to put his queen on d6, from where it is threatening checkmate in 1. Now this long diagonal is kind of weak, and we can exploit it. So after f4, so white has to play this move f4 to block that diagonal, and black continues here with the move queen d6. Now the typical plan in this position is to go with the move g6, f5. So for example, g6, king h1, f5. And further black can continue with moves like bishop e6, knight h7, knight f6. So this is a very typical plan. For white also, he'll regroup his pieces with like knight g1, knight f3 ideas. Okay, but in the game, black played queen d6. So this is also a good move, no problem. And white plays the move c4. Black plays the move knight e6, which attacks the d4 pawn, and now white plays the move king h1. So moves like bishop c3 can be met with b6, so that is not a problem. So white plays king h1. Now taking on d4 is little bit problematic. So for example, knight into d4, knight into d4, rook into e1, rook into e1, and black is facing some back rank issues. So in the game, b6 was played and white played the move d5. Now this is the best move in the position. So c into d5, c into d5, black cannot take back the d5 pawn as there is bishop e4 threat, and white is winning the a8 rook. Now there comes a decision to make where to put this knight on e6. It's a tough decision, and in the game black went little bit wrong here. The correct move would be to place the knight back on f8, but black went knight c5. Now of course there has to be some reason behind this. It looks like it is quite active on c5, but white has concrete way to punish this move. So for example, white can first play knight c3. This happened in the game. So it supports the d5 pawn and attacks the rook on e8. So black has to play the move bishop d7. Now the concrete way is to first give check on h7, and when king moves, so now there is no bishop on d3 for this knight to capture, and now there comes b4, and after knight a6 and a3, the knight is on the edge and it is out of the game. So it is restricted by white's pawns, and white is better in this position. But in the game, white made a mistake. She played the move knight b5, and this allows black to come back into the game. So after bishop into b5, rook into e1, rook into e1, black can stabilize the knight on c5 with the move a5, and now there is no b4. So white plays bishop c6. White has a pair of bishop advantage, but I don't think it is relevant in this position. Black has a good domination on the dark squares. So black played rook d8, a3, and she continued with the move a4. So this is equal position. There was a very nice move here for black, and that was to play the move knight d3. The knight is attacking f4, knight can go to f2, it is attacking the rook. So the variation would be white would take on d3, queen into c6, d into c6, rook into d3, and this was a clear equalizer. After king f8, rook d6, this is equal position. We have managed to exchange the bishop for knight, so there is no pair of bishop advantage for white here. Okay, but a4 is also good. So after bishop e3, black played g6. Now I like this plan from black. In this equal position, she manages to create an attack. So this is the start of the plan g6. After king g1, she first plays f5, and after queen f2, it is not a mistake. Knight d3 is not possible because of the queen h4 move, and if we take on e1, there is bishop d4, and there is mate on h8 square. So first, the plan continues with the move g5, and now taking on g5 would be serious mistake from white, as after knight d3, queen into h4, queen h2, this is just game over for white. So white continued with the bishop into c5, and black took back with the b pawn. So white played rook d1 here, and now black played c4. Now this is very nice move. This prevents white from taking on a4, bishop into a4, because this move can be met with the move bishop b6. The c4 is played and the diagonal is open. So I like this c4 move very much. White played rook e1, and black activates the rook on the b file. White played queen d2, and black gave check on c5, king f1, and here black had a chance to quickly finish off the game with the move bishop b6, and this is deadly. So there can come queen g1 check, there are bishop a5 ideas, and to continue with, let's say white plays his queen move to c2, bishop a7, a very cute idea to bring the rook into the game, and this is like zugzwang for white. White is hopeless in this position. So for example, f into g5, rook b3, rook e8, king g7, and these are very deadly threats here. White is completely lost in this position. So black missed this chance. In the game, she played bishop into f4, queen c3, bishop h2, queen e3, and queen exchanges took place. Rook into b2, rook c3. Now the problem is this is a position with opposite colored bishop, so this gives white some drawing chances. So bishop g3, rook into c4. In spite of the opposite colored bishop, black played quite nicely here, and she was creating threats. So for example, rook f2 check, king g1, rook a2. So now there are dual threats, checkmate, and also a3 pawn is hanging. So white played the move king f1, and black took on a3, rook into a4, rook e3, threatening checkmate in 1, rook a1, g4. So now after g4, white, again this is equal according to engines, and white had this bishop d7 move, and it attacks the f5 pawn and create threats on the light squares. So this was the equalizer for white, but h into g4 is a mistake. This allows f into g4, and now there are no double pawns. After rook d1, black played bishop d6, blocking the d pawn, rook e1, rook c3, rook e4, f5, rook e6, bishop g3, king e2, and now h3 was a mistake from black. So we have to be so careful when converting the advantage. Like one move here and there, and the advantage is completely evaporated. The correct move would be to play rook c2 check, And after king e3 to bring the king, we can see this line: rook e7 check, king f6, rook e8, king f7, rook h8, king g7, and only here we can play h3. And this is winning. But in the game, h3 was a little bit premature, and after takes on h3, you can pause the video and try to find the continuation for white, which saves the day. White has this rook e3 move, and this saves the day for white. So for example, we can see the lines: if rook into e3, then king into e3, opposite colored bishops, and this is a draw. White managed to create a blockade on the light squares. Another variation, if black gives check, rook c2, king d3, rook g2, because the bishop is hanging on g3, rook g2, and d6. Bishop into d6 and rook into h3. Again, this is an equal position. The last continuation of h2. So this allows rook into c3, and after h1 queen, rook into g3 check, and king f7. Now this is also quite equal, and okay, black can try, but it's not easy to convert this. But in the game, white made a decisive blunder here, and that is the d6 move, and simply gave the piece back. So black easily converted this. So after h2, there happened rook c1, rook into h2 cannot be taken because of rook c2 check, and with the skewer, rook h2 is lost. Rook h7 check, king e8, and white resigned here. So this was a very nice game from Bulgarian international master Salimova Nurgyul. I hope you like my explanation. Thanks for watching.